Hey, this is Dave with Kind, and today we're going to look at organization level API keys. So what we'll jump into is how you can get a link in your product like this, which hops you straight into the organization API keys area of the self-serve portal, how they can generate an API key, and then use that key to call your API and find out whether or not it's valid. So we'll go into the Kind admin area and look at how this is set up. The first thing you're going to want to do is hop into settings. We have the self-serve portal. And you can see you've got user level as well as organization level modules which are available within the portal. So we're going to want to turn on API keys. Now this isn't automatically going to show for every single member of that organization. We actually have a built-in permission system which determines which users can or can't see that setting. So if we head over to roles, I've got a couple of roles that I've set up beforehand. And if I edit this role, there's a few Kind provided permissions for things like billing and members, the organization itself, and authentication. So the authentication permission, which is what allows organization members to be able to either see or edit API keys. So in this case, our admin role has both of those, but our member role actually only has read-only for these settings. So that gives you the flexibility if you want only your admins to be able to generate API keys, or the security specialist, or whatever you want to call that role, to give you that control. You can also, if API keys, for example, is a paid feature, you could say, turn it off at the overall level for all organizations. But then you're actually able to hop into an organization, go to self-serve portals at the org level and override those settings and say, well, this is a particularly valuable customer, or they're paying us for this feature, and you can turn on API keys specifically for that organization. Okay, let's hop into the code and have a look at how this actually works in practice. So the Kind SDKs come with this handy portal link helper. This is the React SDK. So I've got a couple of links here, one for account, this one for org API keys. I've specified which sub-navigation item of the portal I want it to jump to. So in this case, I've said it's organization API keys. That could be profile or billing or plan details, or whichever one of those kind of sub-nav items that you want. My product, and hit organization API keys. I'm deep linked straight into this organization settings API keys level. I can see the keys that have previously been created along with who created them. I can generate a new API key. So if we call this Dave's key, I can choose which API it's for. So these are APIs that you have already set up inside of Kind. And these may have different permissions or scopes associated with them, which again, these are the scopes and permissions that you've set up ahead of time inside of Kind. So I'll say, okay, this API key is able to do these two actions, and hit save. Now my end user now can see the API key itself. They can see that it's active, that I'd created it, which API it's for, which scopes it was created for. But we only show them that API key this first time, and then we no longer keep a track of it. So we recommend that they copy it, and that's essentially that. Now, the flow that would normally happen is your user would use that inside of your product, or they're using it to call your APIs. Maybe they're sending it as the header or inside the body to your APIs. And when you receive it, you then make a call to Kind with that key to make sure that it is still valid. So I'll hop over to Postman, paste in the key. So I'm calling our API keys verify endpoint. And it tells us this is the ID of the key, this is the permissions that it has, and that it is still active. This is not a user level key, so the user ID is null. It is still valid, and this is the organization that it's associated with and when it was last verified, as well as the number of times that we have verified this key. If we call it again, you can see the verification count has gone up to 2. Now, we give this to you in the response, and you now know, okay, this key is okay to use. If I was to revoke this key and then make the same call, it's now going to tell us the status is revoked and the key is no longer valid. So you know that you should no longer accept that inside of your APIs. Your users, or the organization members with the right permission for authentication, are able to go in. They can revoke, as you just saw. They're able to rotate the key. So this means it will generate a new key, but the ID remains the same. So if they need to do API updates, so they can only copy this key the one time. Again, you get the same information there. If you were to view the details again, like it won't actually show you what the key is. You just see this masked version of it. You can revoke those keys for them as well via API if you wish. So that's the ID that you would need to use that. You can see those within the self-serve portal. You can just have a quick jump into show you out of scope for this video really, but just so you get an idea. In the APIs section, so these are the two APIs that you could see that I'd set up ahead of time for API keys to be able to be used against. By going to view details, we can see the scopes or permissions that I'd also created ahead of time. So you set these up and then enable your organization members to either read or create, update, revoke API keys for calling your APIs. Hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.